Tape Deck Media.
Good morning, Ruddle Maniacs. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a delightful weekend, and I hope you've got something exciting coming up this week that you're looking forward to. I am, as always, your faithful host, Taylor Not So Swift Ruddle. I've got a great guest for you this week. As always, I always bring you the best of guests that I can that I can afford. And this week's guest is another stand-up comedian called Charn Williams. Now, we have got sort of two parts. Charn came over and we recorded 2 episodes in one sitting. And this is going to be the first part of that, and we are going to be talking about the process by which Charn donated a kidney. It was a really fascinating story, and Charn took copious notes and came super prepared, so we basically went through every step of what is required if you wish to also donate your kidney in New Zealand. Haven't got anything to plug really, except for, as usual, make sure you come out and see us tell the funnies every Tuesday and every Thursday at the Austin Club in Christchurch, and then every Wednesday at Moi Moi for the Wednesday night quiz. That's about all I've got to plug, to be honest. I am going to be entering what seems to be a little bit of not a hibernation as such, but last weekend, at the time of this recording, I recorded my first ever kind of hour-long comedy special. It was the show from 2018, 2020. It's a very loose timeline. It was from around 2020, and it's called Rudzilla. It is about all of my adventures over in Japan. I figured it was time I sort of needed to move on because it'd be coming up on 10 years since I first went to Japan this year sometime, and the folks at the Canterbury Cancer Society were gracious enough to let me film the comedy special there, which has got to be a first. The first time a comedy special has been taped in a cancer treatment facility. So keep your eyes on my YouTube page. I believe you can find it just by going to youtube.com/@TaylorRuddleComedy. I'll be making the announcements and stuff when it actually does drop, but that will be where you can catch it, so go ahead and subscribe to me there so you don't miss it. But other than that, I am going to be laying a little bit low for the sort of the forthcoming weeks, giving myself a little bit of a palate cleanser, a chance to recharge. That was... I don't know if what the split of like non-comedians to comedians that listen to this podcast is, but for me, I find recording or doing a taping a really stressful few weeks because you're worried about people turning up, and then usually on the night you've got to unpack the gear, set everything up, and nothing ever goes to plan. There's always some issue. So yeah, I'm just going to be I'm going to be kind to myself and give myself a little bit of time to recover from the whole rigmarole of filming a special. I'm hoping to film Panic at the Buffet later on this year. I'm hoping to film that in September. I'm hoping that Little Andromeda will let me tape that there. So I have to make an application form there. But so keep an eye on my Facebook page for the announcement on that one. Anyway, I'm rambling on, which I do not need to do. So let's just get into the episode. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about the process of donating a kidney with local comedian Charn Williams. So welcome to the show, Charn, everybody. Hello, Charn. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Taylor. Thanks so much for having me.
No, it's good. I feel like I say this to every single guest, but we've been wanting to do this for a while, so it's great to finally make it happen. I get serious deja vu whenever I say that, but welcome along. It's great to have someone that actually listens to the podcast along, so hopefully it won't be too weird for you to hear your own voice. Do you think you'll listen back to this one?
I was thinking about it today, and initially I was like, nah, I'll just skip it because I was already there recording, but I feel like I'd be too curious to be like, what do I actually sound like? Because, your voice doesndo sound the same in real life than it does on a recording, and I'm too curious. Yeah, I probably will.
I always find that you go through... what do you call it? You know how you hate the way your voice sounds on recording initially, so that goes away if you've listened to it a lot. But then the thing I've noticed is I hate my verbal tics. Like, I end a lot of sentences by saying or something like that, and things like that. And every time I hear it, it's just like a dagger in my back going, stop leaning on that crutch.
It's so true. I was watching a few of my recordings from comedy and I didn't realize how often I say in between words, and now it's all I can focus on. It's terrible.
If you want to really hate yourself for that, when you start subtitling clips for TikTok and stuff, it puts in the ums, and I'm like, you don't need to put that in. Don't worry about that.
Don't call me out like that.
Exactly. I just delete them all. Don't worry about that. That's not relevant. So yeah, like I said, delighted to have you on the podcast. Today we are going to be talking about something that is pretty unique, and I don't think many people will have sort of heard people talking about the process, and that is we're going to be talking about, well, that time that you donated your kidney, I guess.
Just casually donated a kidney, we've all been there.
Yeah, exactly. So I suppose I'd like to lead into it by saying, what was your initial, how did you come to the decision that you were going to do this?
Yeah, so I moved from Auckland to Christchurch in September of 22, and I didn't really know anyone, and so I joined a Facebook group for other girls in the area, and I ended up going on a hike, and I met my friend Anna there, and
shout out to Anna.
Yes.
Who I assume doesn't listen.
I'll make her listen. But no, she was on this hike and we got talking, and somehow it came up that she had kidney failure and it ran in her family. So grandma did, mum did, and now she did. And then she'd said how she'd had a kidney transplant, and we talked about it quite a lot and went on a few more hikes and stuff. And at one point I'd sort of made a comment because she'd said she couldn't work. And I said, oh, well, you had all this free time. You could have gone on a holiday or something, which in hindsight was a terrible thing to say. And she just looked at me and she went, I don't think you realise how sick people are when they have kidney disease, right? And so that was kind of a bit educational for me. And she said, no, I couldn't even walk most days. It was quite debilitating. And so to see her doing all these hikes was incredible.
I was going to say, I remember your energy levels after it were not high, and
no.
She's hiking. She's doing pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, oh, that's incredible. And anyway, so another time we were talking about it, I'd sort of joked and I said, oh, well, you've had a transplant, so I guess you don't need my kidney. Mm-hmm. And we had a bit of a laugh. And then I went home.
She went, actually.
Well, to be fair, she did say, oh, well, it might not last forever, so you should keep yours just in case I need it.
It's like in case of emergency, break Charn.
Backup kidney. Yeah,
exactly.
But I had a joke about it, but I went home that night and I gave it some more thought, and I thought, well, she doesn't for now need mine, but someone out there does. And I wasn't actually sure if I could donate to a stranger or not, because she got her kidney through her brother.
Yeah.
And usually it's, through someone that you know and family and stuff. Right. So I wasn't really sure, and I sort of sat on it for a couple of weeks, and then, I called Christchurch Hospital and kicked it all off from there.
When you call them up and you just, do they respond with a kind of hell yeah, come on in, or do they kind of be like, what? What was their reaction?
Very cautious, and I found out after the whole thing that only 4 people in New Zealand per year donate to someone that they don't know.
Wow.
So I wouldn't even know the last time someone in Christchurch did it, because that's for the whole country. So
they got to dust off the kidney extraction.
They're like, oh, all right.
Let's see if I remember how to do this.
Yeah. A stranger, you say. But no, so I called them and they were like, okay, do you know what's involved in this?
Right.
And then they said, you sure it's not for someone that you know? You're not getting, and I think they thought I was getting confused maybe, I'm like, no, I understand,
Yeah.
It's definitely for whoever needs it. And they're like, okay, well, we'll call you back another time to do a phone screening. And you could just hear the doubt in their voice,
Really?
Yeah, which was quite interesting now I think about it. But they were, I don't know if maybe they thought it was a prank or what was going on. But no, then they did call me for a phone screening, and then, that was quite interesting because it was...
What kind of questions did they ask you during the screening?
So it was your normal kind of questions to start off with, like, do you have any kidney problems? Which I imagine
you're trying to sell them a lemon.
Yeah. Like, oh, this one's a bit of a dud, but, the other one might be right now.
Yeah.
And so that, and then things that will rule you out immediately. So if you have diabetes, for example, you cannot ever donate a kidney.
Because that makes your kidneys not work as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, because your kidney's job is to filter out toxins in the blood.
Yeah.
And fine. So diabetes is obviously to do with your blood sugar levels. So anything that kind of relates to that is just a no-go zone.
Yeah.
So things like that, family history of cancers and anything like that. And that was all going well. And then she goes, "How much do you weigh?" I was not prepared for that.
Man.
I was like, whoa, it is too early in the day for this.
We are fat shaming now.
Yeah, already. But actually they're quite strict on that as well. So
Was it you have to be heavy enough or light enough?
Light enough.
Oh, okay.
So I used to weigh a lot more, and actually when I began this, it was quite funny. When I began this, they said, "Okay, how much do you weigh? How tall are you?" And they worked out my BMI, and they said, "Oh, you just fall into the appropriate category for that."
That's so triggering.
It kind of was. And then the lady
What, you're
goes,
like, too good for my kidney?
right. And then the lady goes, "Oh, well, it's fine for now, but if hypothetically you were to gain any more weight, you wouldn't be able to donate." And I was like, all right, cool.
Just hang up on
Put
them.
down my chips. God.
She just hears another Coke can opening in the background. Oh no.
But actually it was quite good because I really wanted to do this, and that was a good motivation for me to lose some weight. So I actually ended up losing 10 kgs between that conversation and when I actually donated my kidneys. So
How long was that, just for the out of interest?
yeah, so they tell you online and when you talk to them and stuff that it's anywhere between 6 months to 12 months.
Wow.
And my one took 10 months.
Wow.
From start to finish, and that was only that quick because and I'll go into it a bit later, but they have a kidney exchange program, and someone was too sick to donate, and so I got pulled in, and I got told 10 days before surgery. They were like, "Hey, what are you doing in just over a week's time?" And I was like, not much. Yeah, basically.
You got tagged in like a wrestler.
I totally did. All you want me for is my kidney.
Yeah.
But
story
yeah.
of my life.
But yes, I didn't have much time because there's part of the whole process, and again I'll get into it a bit later, but is that it's really cool. So the Ministry of Health, they fund you for however long you need off work.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
And it's full pay, and it's not means tested, so as much as you earn, that's what you get, 100%.
Hell yeah.
Which is really cool because it's
good,
a good incentive because not everyone, has enough leave or whatever. But you obviously have to put in paperwork and do all of that. And they say, the minimum turnaround for that is 30 days, so a month. And obviously I had 10 days, and so I was panicking. I'm like, I can do it, but am I going to get paid? I've got, rent and stuff.
Yeah.
But they were really good at sort of expediting that and being like, no, we're cutting her open in 10 days. We got to get that money in. So luckily that all
good
came
on
on
them.
time. But yeah, no, that was a little stressful. But
I'm always like, I'm gradually losing my faith in this country based on the way people have been voting. But I'm often pleasantly surprised by certain things that have been in place since like before my time. Like we donated some money to charity last tax year, and I haven't actually got the money back yet, but they apparently they give you some money back of what you donated. And so like, yeah, things like that restore my faith and just humanity a little bit, that like we do have these things in place to try and like help you when you're trying to do good. So
for a second there, I thought you were implying that I could get part of my kidney back, and I was like, I'd hate to break it to you, but that's not how that works. They told me like emphatically, they're like, you understand that this, you can't ask for it back, right? And they kept repeating it, and I was thinking, how many people have had the surgery and gone, actually,
I changed my mind.
gives these backsies,
like you're trading Pokemon cards
Right.
on the playground. My mum says you got to give my kidney back.
all right, back on the table then.
Wow.
No.
So then, I was going to say, because it was such a short lead up, do you think that made it better because you don't have a lot of time for it to sit with you? Because going in for surgery is a scary thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So do you think the fact that it was so sudden helped, and that you didn't have a lot of time to dread? Or, I don't know, just how did you feel about it?
Yeah, good question. I'm pretty good with surgery, and to be honest, I've had more elective surgeries than I have. I've had an accident and now I need surgeries. So I'm a bit of a freak in that regard. And I'm like, I don't care if you cut me open.
You're built different.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think for me, I didn't really panic about it until the night before.
Yeah.
That was the first time that my brain was like, am I doing something real dumb? But then I sort of put myself in the position of someone who would be getting my kidney, and I was like, I can't take that away from someone, and I don't want to. And any sort of fear that I'm feeling at that moment is nothing compared to the fear of dying. Someone that needs this, otherwise they're not going to survive much longer. And just putting it into perspective like that, I think really helped. So I don't think it would have mattered if I'd had a month, 2 months notice or 10 days. I don't think it mattered too much.
That last sleep before surgery though is a tough one, eh? Like when you were you all by yourself that day, or did you have kind of a support network around you?
So I was actually working the day before. So right up until
God.
Yay, corporate system.
Capitalismo.
Woo. So that in a way was good because I had work to keep my mind off things. I
suppose that's true.
Yeah, and I went in quite early in the morning to have it done. Slept in my own bed the night before and was kind of like, what am I doing with my life? But then actually by the time I woke up and was like making my way to the hospital and stuff, I was feeling pretty good about it. And they give you some sort of sedative, happy drugs before you go in, which help as well. So I was on cloud nine.
Yeah, I suppose you wouldn't have been fretting too much at that point. So when you actually go in for a surgery like that, how early do you have to go in? Quite early in the morning?
Yeah. So it depends what time you're booked to actually have the surgery. And I was first on the list for the day, I guess, and that starts at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But of course, you have to do all the prep work beforehand. So I think I had to be there about 6:30.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was quite intense, and there was a lot of, are you sure you want to do this? I'm like, mate, I already panicked last night. We're good.
That's mad that you can still tap out right up until game time.
And they say that throughout the whole proceedings of it, they say, if at any point you don't want to do it, you have up until you're unconscious basically on the table, even if they're about to sedate you and put you under. If you're like, no, actually, I've changed my mind, then that's totally fine.
Wow.
And it's quite interesting because each step of the process, they won't, so say you have a test for something and you're waiting for the test results. So you have an MRI, for example.
Yeah.
In most cases, the hospital will contact you or the doctor will contact you saying, yes, this is broken or it's not, whatever. But with kidney donation, they don't tell you anything. You have to call them every step of the way to follow up on your results. And it seems really annoying, but the reason that they do that is so that no one feels coerced into doing it. They want it to be 100% your decision. So, if you'd had a test and then they said, hey, this is your test result, do you want to book in for the next test? You may feel like, oh, crap, now I have to,
Like when you get a really aggressive upselling, like masseuse. I hate to derail this, but I have to tell you this story. Like, I went in for a massage because my back was just buggered. And as I was leaving, they tried to sell me this package of basically a punch card of 7 more. And I was like, they're like, oh, you're saving $100. And I was like, well, yeah, that's fine, but I don't have $600 on me right now to buy this package. And she just didn't get it. She was just like, but look at the savings. And so I do appreciate that they don't have that pushy salesman kind of thing with this sort of surgery. But sorry to derail you. Please continue.
Okay. Imagine that though, your kidney, how about part of your liver?
Yeah, while I'm in there, can I just help myself?
Take some more,
help myself to some stuff. What about your spleen? You're not using that anymore.
Actually, that's interesting that you mentioned spleen. I totally forgot. So when I was in recovery, I had this surgeon come in. And he goes, has anyone talked to you about your spleen? Oh. And I was still high as hell at this point. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I donated a kidney, not a spleen. What the hell is going on? And he sits down and he goes, you've got a weird looking spleen. And I just started laughing. And I was like, am I hallucinating? What the hell is going on? And he said, oh, so while we're in there, we noticed that your spleen has all these nodules on it.
Right.
and I took some photos, do I have your permission to send these photos to a spleen specialist? And I was like, what? Yeah, sure, go ahead.
You just did that sign thing, when you sign for a mail package and it's on that LED screen.
Yeah,
you just put a scribble.
Sure, yeah, go ahead. Anyway, it wasn't a very exciting conclusion. They just said sometimes people get nodules on their spleen and it's not anything to be worried about. Yeah. But it was just him saying, you have a weird looking spleen. I was like, all right.
A medical professional saying that to you. Yeah, weird looking was the word he chose.
And he, had to consult a specialist because he wasn't sure what was going on, but no, it was all fine. So, you can always find out other things about yourself, even if that's not what you're in surgery for.
So much body shaming in this.
I hadn't thought of it until that, but yeah, you're right.
They see you again and they're like, oh, spleen girl.
Imagine, still looking weird, I guess.
Yeah, how's that spleen going? That is quite, just when you think about it, the fact that they can just have a bit of a poke around and have a look, and it's like, hey.
That's not what you're there for.
Exactly. You don't get free spleen pics.
Right.
Imagine that just with the digital camera. Over your spleen, taking photos.
Just calling Jeff over, Jeff, check this out. What a freak.
He's holding it up like a fish, like a fishing photo. He holds it closer to the camera as well, so it looks bigger. What does the spleen actually do? That's another one of those, it filters stuff out, right?
I assume so. I feel like I should have Googled this before going on the podcast. I don't know. We can Google it in a bit and find out.
It's okay. Yeah. That's the homework for the listeners.
Yeah.
So then what happened? You woke up. How did you feel immediately? Obviously you were high as a kite, but I remember you struggled with some low energy and stuff after it initially happened, right?
Yeah, so when I first woke up, it was in the recovery room where everyone is, and I don't drink anymore, but I remember the feeling of being drunk, and it felt like that. I could sort of understand what was going on, but I wasn't quite coherent. And all I remember was this two young nurses, a guy and a girl, and the guy was, in my view, hitting on the female nurse and trying to tell her jokes and make her laugh, but she was not having any of it, and she was just so go away.
She's a consummate professional.
Yeah, and he just kept trying, and I, in my head, I hope it was in my head, I said, stop trying, she's not interested. I may have said it out loud, I don't know, I was pretty high.
That's so funny. You're still the concerned friend of the bar.
Yeah.
She's not interested,
just leave it alone, man. and then they sort of wheeled me into my room.
The male nurse is like, get her out of here, she's C-blocking me.
Yeah, basically. So they might be getting married now, I don't know.
Oh, God.
But anyway,
he's gotten fired for sexual harassment.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah.
But no, so I got wheeled into my extra room, and I had my own private room, which was quite nice. And
it's the least they could do.
Right. But I was in so much pain, and I'm not saying this to put anyone off, but definitely push for the pain relief that you want. So I've had multiple surgeries before, and I've always done really well on morphine and tramadol. But they tend to use, and I've totally forgotten the name.
Codeine, is it the other one?
Fentanyl, that's the one.
Fentanyl.
Yeah. Right.
That's
I had
what
the
Jelly
same
Roll was hooked on.
I had the same reaction because I've seen all those documentaries about American people getting hooked on fentanyl, right?
They just bring it out on a mirror.
Right,
with a
just
razor
snort
blade.
this, you'll be fine. But they said, no, we always use fentanyl because it's less addictive than morphine because it's shorter acting.
Right.
So it leaves your system a lot quicker. And I'd never had fentanyl before, and I was like, I would prefer what I know is going to work, but you're the doctor, whatever. And then I woke up, and then I was in so much pain, and I was like, wonder if it's because you put me on fentanyl.
Yeah.
And it's just not doing it. And then they said, we'll try you on it for 24 hours, and if you're still in pain, then we'll switch you over.
Yeah.
And I didn't sleep over 24 hours. So it was a little bit traumatic. And then eventually they're like, all right, maybe your body.
Yeah. Wow.
And then they switched me over, and as soon as they did that, I just had the smile on my face, and I was so happy, and I finally got some sleep, and it was good.
Yeah.
So that was my initial kind of I'm really fatigued because I just could not physically sleep. But then for the next sort of I'd say maybe 2 months after surgery, I was just so tired.
Yeah.
it didn't matter how decent of a sleep I got. It was just like that fatigue. And I guess it makes sense because you're in recovery and you use cells and use energy to help you like recover and get better and stuff. So it really drains you. And I didn't work for 3 weeks. I had 3 weeks off, and then I did part-time for 2 weeks after that, and then on the 6th week I went back full-time.
Was when you were back full-time, were you back to like full strength, or even there was a bit of a struggle?
Even then it was a bit of a struggle, and my workmates are really, really good, and they said no heavy lifting, like we'll do everything. But then it got kind of ridiculous. Like I had someone go, "Oh, your paper tray, I'll take it. I don't want you to carry it, you know." And there's like 2 bits of paper in the paper tray, you know. I'm like, I think I'll be fine. Like, no, you can't lift anything. I'm like, oh my God. Someone was like, oh, I can get you a pillow for your chair. You know, it's just like, it was very sweet, but it was
good to have coworkers that support you. Like, yeah. I was gonna say the oh shoot, I had something. I think I've lost it. I was gonna say the like, you know, when you fall off your chair in your office or something like physical happens and nobody laughs, that's when you realise like, oh, they're really worried about me. You kind of want people to laugh when you fall down or something like that happens. So I can imagine people were probably walking on eggshells around you a bit, like,
definitely.
Oh no, don't lift your coffee cup. I'll I'll give that to you.
It's the kidney kid we gotta look after. It was pretty intense, but it was nice for sure. What was your kind of co-workers' reaction? Did they get it, or were they a bit like were they just a bit like, why would you do that sort of thing? I'm quite lucky because I work in healthcare, so I work with a lot of nurses, and so to them, they were just like, oh, that's really a cool thing to do, like, makes sense. I think it was more other people in my life that were like, why the hell would you do that? And I had that quite a lot, which surprised me. I mean, sure, you expect people to be a bit confused about it, but I guess in my head thought more people would be like, oh, that's great, you know, let me know if you need anything. But I just literally got, why? So often.
No sympathy or anything.
No, it was just like, why? It just confusion, and it was weird to kind of justify that. I'm like, because I only need one, because it's going to save someone's life. Like, and then the whole, oh, I could never do that. It's like, all right, well, I'm not asking
people
you to.
People always feel the need to give you that kind of...
I could never.
Yeah. They always feel it's a bit like when you told people that when you tell people that you don't drink, they always have to like give you like a personal statement of like, oh, well, you know, I don't drink that much, and you're like, I didn't ask, it's fine, I'm not judging you. Like it's people, it's quite funny. I'm sure I've done it as well. I did this when you know, you always think like, oh, I'll never be one of those people that throws out basic stuff, but then when I ran into my little cousins who I hadn't seen for a few years, the first thing that came to mind was like, oh man, I remember when you were just this tall and you hold your hand like as to how tall they were, and then you remember how annoying that was as a kid, and you're like, wait, no, don't do that.
Stop. Yeah.
But no, that is a shame. I'd be very curious to see what the statistics on like organ donors are. Like, I think I'm an organ donor for my driver's license. I can't really remember, but the lack of understanding. I mean, it's not really that surprising that people don't understand a selfless action in today's world, but it's I don't know. I won't pass judgment. It is a scary thing to do, right? Like the whole experience. Like, it was a year-ish, or
so it was 10 months, and that's what I was going to talk about. They call it the workup, which is all the like medical testing that you have to do. But even before you get to that point, you have to see a psychologist.
Really?
So...
Is it to make sure you're of sound mind and stuff like that,
exactly.
Right?
And I think a big emphasis on, like, not being coerced and just, like, you're doing this for you. And also, they kept saying, you understand that you don't get paid for this, right?
Really?
Which is, like, a big thing. Like, it's a donation. You get that, right? There's no medical reimbursement at all. And I was like, I get it. So you have your phone screening to see if there's anything that would take you out completely, and then if that's fine, then you go see a psych. And then I'm not going to lie, I was low-key worried about it. I was like, oh, no.
Well, you're talking about all the steps. I'm just thinking of all the roadblocks I would hit. Like, you have to be a certain weight. Oh, no, that's me out.
I'm out.
You can't be diabetic. I'm probably going to be diabetic when I'm older. So, like, it's just so many things where I'm like, I wouldn't even get past the, the 10-meter line or whatever on this.
And it's so strict, but I understand why.
Yeah.
Because not only do you want the kidney to be in the best state for the person that's getting it, but you're going to be missing a part of you, and so especially in terms of recovery, you want to give yourself the best chance of doing that. So after that I met with the nephrology organ donor clinic, and that was just a really nice old man who just ran me through everything that would happen from start to end, and again repeated, you don't get paid for this. Yeah, I know. Are you sure we can't come to some arrangement?
Yeah, exactly. It's a really nice kidney.
Yeah. Shame about the spleen though, but
yeah, exactly.
But no, so I had that, and then you begin the workup, which is all the physical stuff, and it starts with initially you do a full day of testing, and it starts with like blood tests and then a kidney function test, which is obviously quite important when you're getting in a kidney. X-rays, had to get a smear test.
Is it for cancer?
Yeah. So they want to check that there's nothing underlying. And so a lot of the blood tests will pick up the at least indicative of any cancers. But then things like a smear test will obviously for that type of cancer. And then a CT scan and MRI. So it's like all the tests really. So you have that all in one day, which is very exhausting.
I'm sure that's an intense day, yeah.
Yeah, I slept very well after that, I must say.
Are they the ones, like CT scans, are the ones that you have to be perfectly still while it's happening? Or is it a CAT scan? I can't remember. I don't know if it's the same one.
I think I also had a CAT scan. I feel like MRI is MRI the one you have to be really still for?
I think that might be the one. It's like magnetic something.
Yeah, and you have to take all your jewelry out and stuff and be... Yeah. And so I actually nearly forgot to take my nose ring out. And then I remembered and I was like, phew, cool. And then she looks at me and she goes, you need to take your glasses off. I was like, they're not... Oh, yeah, no, they are. Yeah. But actually since then I've got plastic ones, which are...
so you can enter any MRI machine.
Yeah, if I happen to be going past one, I'll be safe.
You're just reading. Reading in the MRI machine. Just let me know when it's done, boys.
You got it. But yeah, so it was like a full day of workup, and then over the next sort of few months, as I said, it took about 10, you just go back and redo a lot of the tests because they're just trying to see over the course of time, is this giving the same result as it did last time? Is it consistent? But I had to have the liver test done about 4 times.
Really?
Which was part of the reason I was like, maybe I should stop drinking. So they said to me, oh, we got this back and your proteins are quite high, like higher than they can be to donate. So we're going to just, maybe just stop drinking. And the weird thing is even when I did drink, I wasn't a huge drinker. So I was like, imagine if I was, someone that drank a lot. Like I hate to think how high it would have been.
They give you the tip. They're just like, just switch to clear liquor for a month. It'll be all good.
Vodka's fine.
Vodka cran. It'll help the kidneys as well.
Yeah, flush it all
Flush any UTIs out.
2 for 1. I love it.
Exactly.
I love it. But yeah, so no, they said to maybe just cut back a bit, which again, very judgy, aren't they? Now I think about it. I'm doing you a favour.
I noticed that when my mother was I don't remember exactly what she had. It turned out being something called sarcoid, which was a bit like your spleen. There was something on her lungs that it was one of those things where it's like it's either nothing or you're going to die. It's like there's no middle ground. It's either like, oh, don't worry about it, or it's like, oh, you've got cancer kind of thing. And so we went into it was like the lung clinic or something like that, and it's like the whole walls are just plastered with like stop smoking things. It's like, oh, okay, this is why most people are here. For the smoking. You got it. Yeah. But that is, I suppose that's probably a good thing to make, because I guess you don't want to go through all that effort and then find out the person's not healthy enough to or the kidney's not healthy enough to to survive in the new, or help the new person. I don't exactly know what the procedure is there. I remember, was it the kidney or there's another organ they donate, but they don't actually take out anything from the person, right? They just add the new kidney into the recipient?
That's right, yeah. So if a kidney, so to remove a kidney, it's quite a big process, right? And so if someone is in kidney failure, the kidney isn't really working, it's not doing anything anyway, so there's no harm in it being there. It's just that it's not working, but it's not going to damage anything else. Yeah. So their thing is, well, we're already attaching a new one in, so why would we go to the effort of taking the old one out? And it's just extra risk to the person. Yeah. And so Anna's got 3 kidneys, so she got 2 that don't work, and then obviously the donated one. And then they do sort of cut off the blood supply, just to give the new one all the blood and all the nutrients. And then apparently they sort of just shrivel up a little bit, and so after some time they just shriveled up little kidney balls sitting there.
Isn't that fascinating, the fact that because to us, I don't know how long organ transplants have been a thing, but like that feels like something out of science fiction, like when they first came up with being able to do it or something, because as long as we've been alive it's always kind of been a thing. But like the human body is very resilient, isn't it? Like
absolutely.
What is that the Greek thing, the ship of Theseus? If you replace all the pieces in a ship over the course of like 10 years, is it still considered the same ship? Like that our human body is a bit like that you can just, like, it blows my mind to think that you can just add other parts into it and the body will be like, yep, all right, close enough. Like, I can work with this.
And I guess modern medicine has a lot to be said for as well, because for me, I don't need to really do anything, but for people that have had a donor kidney, they need to be on anti-rejection meds. But it's pretty cool that we have that, to allow it to be possible, because what's the other option? You just die, So I guess pretty rad.
That was the next question I was going to say, like, in terms of afterwards, have you felt any effects, or are you pretty much back to like 100% strength now?
So I did a dumb thing after my surgery. So they said no exercise at all for 6 weeks.
That would not be a problem for me, but go on.
I did a half marathon.
I think that comes under exercise.
In my defense, I didn't run it. I had entered it before, and then obviously with the quick turnaround time of being told, I was like, oh crap. I'll have like 3 to 4 weeks, I think it was, after the surgery, and that'll be fine. And then with my fatigue and all of that, and it really took it out of me. I thought, there's no way I can run this, but I can walk it.
Walking doesn't count.
And that's my exercise. It's
You're just
fine.
Pushing yourself in a wheelchair or something around a day.
I should have. That would have been good.
You're just tethering onto other runners and having them pull you for like you're on a skateboard or something.
Oh, that would have been amazing. I did not think of that. No, I did it all myself. And
next year we'll do the city to surf like that and just see if we can convince people. We'll just show up in rickshaws, Like,
I love it.
Get people to drag us around.
It's like those people that do a marathon, but then they have a car on the side, and then they just sneak off and get in the car and drive a bit, and then get out and act like they ran real fast.
I feel like someone on the Tour de France got busted doing that.
You can't get caught, rookie move.
I love it. But so you did this marathon.
Yeah, so I walked the half marathon, so that's my defence for if the doctor finds out. I walked it, I didn't run it. And it took me about 4 hours to walk, I think 21 Ks, which I was, pretty happy with, but afterwards I went, why the fuck did I do that?
Were you like tired? I'm tired then?
Yeah, I mean, I've done like marathons before, and so I know like running is something my body's used to and capable of, but this, even walking it, was just a whole nother level. I just thought, this is why they tell you not to do exercise. Yeah. But I don't like to listen, so, I did it.
You're like, have you seen that Fast and the Furious movie where The Rock, he's in hospital and he like breaks his cast to like, and like, they're like ripping all those chest things off him, and like, you're the equivalent of doing that. You're just like, your determination will be enough.
Fuck you, I won't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's me. I forgot the original question.
Well, it was just, are you still feeling any of the effects? Are you kind of back to full strength now?
I'm back to full strength now. I really struggled. I think, it was about 2 months with fatigue, and then weirdly 3 months after my surgery, I had no appetite. And it was
I remember you telling me
bizarre.
about this now.
Yeah. So I literally just was not hungry for 3 months. And it was, I would go days without eating, and it wouldn't be until someone went, "Hey, have you eaten recently?" And I'd go, "Oh, no, yeah, I forgot that's the thing I have to do." Because you just have no cue that you need to eat. And then I got to a point where I'd force myself once a day to eat something, because that's how you keep the system going. And I actually lost another 8 kgs from that. Yeah.
So you're down 18 kilos at this point.
Yeah. Pleased to report that I have put on weight since then.
Hell yeah.
Actually, I came here to do this podcast and you had snacks for me, so thank you so much.
That's basically the hospitality of the podcast.
I love it. But no, I did put some on, which was good, but for a time, I definitely lost weight, and it was really weird, because I've always been a snacker, and I can eat anytime, really, and to not have that was really like, what's going on?
That is bizarre, eh?
I remember having the follow-up appointment, so it's meant to be 6 weeks afterwards, but it was not 6 weeks, because the New Zealand health system.
Oh, yeah.
But I said, "Oh, how are you feeling?" I said, "Oh, I'm not tired anymore, that's great, but I've got this weird thing, I can't really eat, like I'm just not hungry." And he goes, "Okay." And then just keeps typing and just like ignores me. And I was like, "Sorry, did you not hear me? Like, I basically haven't eaten anything decent in 3 months." And he goes, gained more body shaming. He goes, "We don't look like you've lost that much weight."
Oh, man.
I'm just like, what is going on?
You just leap across the desk and start pummeling him.
Oh, I felt like it.
Man, doctors in this country are so... I had this... I do a little bit of... It's like sort of acting stuff with like the medical thing, and one of them was asking me... Like, I said I don't really go to the doctor that often, and they were like, "Why?" And I was like, "Because they're obsessed with your weight. Like, it always comes down to like, oh, if you lose a bit of weight, then that probably won't happen." And you're just like, "I'm in here for a broken collarbone," or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that is doctors are just brutal, eh?
They really are.
So then what happened after you? Like, did it gradually come back, or did you just realize you were like starving one day?
It gradually came back. So I'd have it where it would be like every 2 days or something. I'd be like, I remember actually the first time I was out with some friends, and I stopped and I stared at them, and they were like, "Oh, are you okay? Like, what's wrong?" They thought I was going to drop dead or something. I said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I think I'm hungry."
Yeah.
And it was almost like remembering what that felt like, because it had been so long since I'd actually felt hungry. And I went, "No, I think it is." And then I went and got a burger, and I was like, "Yep, that was it."
The spot,
That was it.
That's
and then,
the trick.
Yeah, it was so good. And then just sort of every couple of days, my body would go, "Oh, we could eat," and then slowly but surely over time. And now I'm just always snacking.
Yeah,
snacks,
come back.
Snacks. Yeah, I have snacks in my drawer at work. It's bad.
Nice. So then I guess like once the process is done, do you get like a thank you or something, or flowers or something from the recipient? Because you mentioned that you're not really allowed to know who it was or anything like that, right?
Yeah, so it's completely anonymous, and they said that there is the sort of option to email. So if I wanted to get in touch with them, I would have to email my transplant coordinator, and she would get in touch with the recipient and be like, "Hey, we've got this like email. Do you want it? Do you want to get in contact?" And then they can obviously say no, but it also goes vice versa. And for me, I sort of said from the start that with the whole don't want anyone to be pressured or whatever, that as the donor, I wouldn't reach out first, but if they wanted to make contact, I'd obviously be open to that. But I don't want them to be like, "Oh, there's an email from this person and they did this big thing for me, so now I have to get in contact." Like I don't want them to feel like that, so I've decided not to. All I know, and I don't even think I was meant to be told this much, but a nurse let it slip. She said that someone in Wellington got my kidney, so that's all I know.
Yeah.
And then I was on holiday there about a month or two ago, and I was like looking around like, which one of you has it?
You're just like sniffing the air. You're like, it's around here somewhere.
Just survey people. How many kidneys do you have? How many of them work?
Because I think you were telling me, or maybe we were just joking about this, but you said they didn't want to. They didn't necessarily want to just let you freely get in touch because they were worried that people would be like, "You're not taking good care of my kidney, are you?"
Yeah.
You bump into them in town and you're like, "Oh man, this 4 drinks you've had. Like, I'm grateful."
Absolutely, and I think that's quite a real fear because you don't know, and it can just go to anyone. So I guess that's part of the generosity of doing a non-directed donation is that you trust in that process and that you don't care who gets it.
They can't let you like hold that over someone.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm sure for some people meeting that person and going, oh, you know, you have a drinking problem or you whatever the situation may be might sort of make people a bit jaded or a bit angry or whatever. So they try and avoid that and just give you as much option to contact or not contact as possible. But yeah, it's also interesting, and I was going to talk about this before, the kidney exchange program.
Yeah, what is that?
So there's 2 different ways for the kidney donation. So I feel like I've done this in a weird order, but that's all right. Yeah. So you can just say, hey, I want my kidney to go to the next person on the list. And basically they'll have a list of people that are in kidney failure, and the person who is closest to dying essentially has the lowest percentage kidney function will get the kidney. But then they talked about the kidney exchange program, and I'm a big advocate for this. I think it's an amazing thing. So it is an exchange program between Australia and New Zealand. And how that works, and I'll try and explain it. So say you want to donate your kidney to your brother. And you do all the testing and you're able to donate, but you're not a match for whatever reason. You both would go into the kidney exchange program, and there'll be another couple, for lack of a better word, who, you know, one person needs a kidney, one person can donate, but cannot donate to their chosen person. And so you'll go into this exchange program, and it kind of crisscross and matches you up with someone with the same blood type or that's compatible. And so, you know, your sibling or whoever, like, you won't get their kidney, you'll get a stranger's, but their one will go to someone else who needs it. So it just allows for like a chain reaction and more people to
that's great.
To get it, and then eventually at the end there'll be like one kidney left over, and then that one will go to the person on the main list. And then I sort of said, oh, that's great, but I don't have a partner, you know, but a singleton, and they said that's fine because they sometimes will pull someone from the main list to if they agree to enter the kidney exchange program, and so you'll get singletons like that, and then that will create. So it's great, and
that was the one you went through.
So that's what I did, and so there's extra testing involved in that because they're more strict on the criteria, and I mean, it shouldn't really matter, but they're like, no, you have to have these extra tests and it can only be this % and blah, 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 and it's all very intense. So you have to pass every little thing to make sure. And that's fine. I obviously did. And then it goes in. And I think it's just really good. It allows for more people to get a kidney because, you're not always going to be a match. And my blood type is B positive. Which is punny.
Just like your personality.
Which I love, but and it's not super rare or super common. I'm kind of middle of the road. But if you did have a really rare blood type, then it's sort of like, oh, we're just scrambling around to find a donor or a recipient, you know. And so opening that exchange program up to Australia and New Zealand obviously broadens it as well, which is really, really good. So I had that, and I thought, oh, maybe my kidney will go to Australia, but no, we went to Wellington.
I've got an international kidney.
Yeah, gosh, ooh la la. But no,
bougie.
I mean, it's in a different island, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. It's got some miles on it.
It went in a plane.
Yeah, exactly. So now that the process is all done, like, how are you feeling about it? You feeling good about the process? You feel like you did the right thing? Or just give us your thoughts on how you feel.
Yeah, I feel really good. 10 out of 10 would do again. Obviously, it's not a walk in the park, real simple thing. Otherwise, everyone would do it. And I did discuss that actually in my sort of interview afterwards. I said, we need to find some way of streamlining this a bit, because I think even in terms of education, like, I didn't really know until I talked to Anna that first time that you could donate a kidney when you're alive. I sort of thought, oh, organ donation all happens when you're dead. And so I think in terms of like live organ donation, just the education around it and stuff, there needs to be more to be done with that, which is why I'm doing this. I think it's a really important message. But I do feel good. I would go through it again. obviously not really because I only have one more kidney.
Yeah.
But if I could, I would. I think it was worth every, pinprick blood test, every sitting still in a machine, every phone call I had to make to follow up, every minute of I'm in pain, give me the drug I wanted. I would go through it all again in a heartbeat, knowing that it went to save someone's life, essentially. So
awesome. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything else that you feel like we should have covered that we didn't throughout the course of this interview?
No, I don't think so. All I just want to say is if it's something that you've been thinking about or possibly haven't ever thought about, definitely do it. You will be changing someone's life and yours won't really be impacted that much. Like the only difference for me right now is that I can't have anti-inflammatories. That's it. So I can't have ibuprofen, but that's not the end of the world. There's worse things in life to miss out on. And it's a very small price to pay to help someone else. So just get in touch, call your local hospital, see they'll have a renal or a nephrology department, and just say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and they will guide you every step of the way. And
they'll ask you, are you sure you know that you don't get paid for doing this first?
How fat are you? But it's definitely worth it. And even if you think, I've got diabetes or whatever and I don't meet the criteria, you might know someone else that does. And I think the more people that know about it, the more donations can be made and the more people that can be saved, and that's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have said it much better. So where can people find more of you, Charn, if they would like more Charn in their life?
Not literally more
online,
of me.
sorry, I should specify there. Where are you going to be hanging out after this?
I'm done giving out organs. So I do comedy, and I have finally made a comedian page on Facebook. It's only taken me a year or so. So it's Charn Williams Comedian, and because my parents hate me, they've decided to spell my name weird, which is CHARN. So Charn Williams Comedian.
Hell yeah. I will put a link to that in the show notes, and then you've got a regular gig that we're going to talk about as well. Yeah.
So not strictly comedy related, but I host a quiz, and that is at Winnebago's in Fairymead, and it is every Thursday night at 7 p.m. And it is free to join, and there are some prizes up for grabs, and it's always a good time, very educational, very fun, and hopefully we can see you there.
Yeah. I think I used to host a G. It's by G Quiz, isn't it?
It is G Quiz. Sorry. Yeah.
I used to host a G Quiz one just around the corner from that at the Black Pearl, which I believe is not there anymore. There might still be there, but it's not running. And there was a few people that wanted a quiz over that side of town. So if you're one of them, you've got a new home at Winnebago's, one of my favorite pizza places in Christchurch. So thank you for joining me for this episode, Charn. I have a sneaking suspicion the listeners might expect another episode from you on the podcast. So, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks so much for having me, Taylor.
Thank you for listening to Ruddle Me This. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave me a review on your favourite podcast platform. You can find me on social media at Taylor Ruddle Comedy on all the major platforms. You can also join patreon.com/Taylor Ruddle Comedy for free, which gets you access to all sorts of extras and behind the scenes content, as well as allows you to communicate directly with me and let me know what you think of the show. Tune in again next Monday for another episode of Ruddle Me This, and until then, Ruddle her out.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.